All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Oldham County Board of Adjustments. Today is May 19th. It is 9:04, and we are now in session. First of all, I'd like to welcome a new member to the board, David Pate. Welcome. And we have two cases before us today. The procedures for both cases are going to be the same. I'm going to swear in staff, and I'll have Stephen, do you mind reading the cases today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, thank you. Stephen's going to read the cases. Amy's going to do the staff report. There'll probably be a round of questioning by the board to Amy regarding the staff report, and when we're done with that, I'm going to call you, the applicant, forward. You're going to come forward, come to the podium, raise your right hand, state your name and address, tell us what it is that you would like to do. You have 20 minutes to do so. There's a clock on the wall. Once you're done with the statements, there'll probably be a round of questioning by the board members to you, the applicant. When we're done with that, you may take a seat, and I'm going to call forward anybody that wishes to speak in favor, and then I'll call forward anybody that wishes to oppose the application. Those in favor and opposed have 10 minutes to speak. And again, there might be a round of questioning by the board to those that are in favor and those opposed. And when we're done with that, they may take a seat, and you, the applicant, can come forward and have 5 minutes for a rebuttal. And then the opposition will have 5 minutes for a rebuttal. And then final statements after that, 5 minutes for that as well. When we're done with that, I'm going to close the floor. There might be a round of questioning by the board members to anybody in the audience. And when we're done with that, I'm going to close the floor for public hearing. There'll be a round of general discussion among the board members, and then I'll call for an up and down vote. All right? Let's go ahead and swear in staff.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And cell phones, please make sure they're off or on vibrate. If you need to take a call, please excuse yourself from the courtroom. Just make sure it's off when you come back in. And board members, please make sure your mics are on. Steve, you want to read the first case?
Docket OC 16007, an application has been filed requested a conditional use permit for a second accessory structure located at 14425 Riverglades Lane, Prospect.
Good morning, everyone. Amy Alvey with Oldham County Planning and Development Services. As Mr. Davis just stated, this is an application requesting a conditional use permit to construct a second accessory structure. The property is zoned R2 residential and is approximately 2 acres. This is the aerial view of the property. It is currently, they have applied for a foundation permit. Obviously, our 2012 aerial, it was just a vacant lot at the time. And there are homes, actually on this side here. But you'll see that in a minute. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow a second accessory structure to be located on the property. Currently, the applicant has applied for a 14,700 square foot single-family permit and a 2,200 square foot detached accessory structure. The detached accessory structure is a fitness center with a 2-car garage. The applicant is requesting to build a second accessory structure, which would be around a 300 square foot pool house and to be located behind the principal structure. Section 260-030 accessory structures, item 1 states, conditional use permit required. All accessory structures over 120 square feet after the first may be granted a conditional use permit by the appropriate Board of Adjustments only after a public hearing as a conditional use. The applicant has stated in their justification statement that the layout is aesthetically pleasing but could not connect either structure to the primary structure to prevent the need for a conditional use permit. The proposed accessory structure would not be visible from the street. This is from the site visit. This is from Riverglades Lane, looking into the site, and you can see they are doing some site work with the foundation. This is the east view. This is the south view. And as you can see, there is, in this area, or this photo here, recent, there is a house next door. This is a north view, which is, there is a vacant lot to the north. And then on the other side of that vacant lot, there is a house. So this is just a further north view. This is from my site visit. This is part of the excavation work that has begun on the footers. And you'll see here in the back, that is the pad area for the first accessory structure. And it's kind of hard to tell, but this is approximately the location of where the pool house would be in the rear yard. This is the site plan that was submitted. You'll see the first item over here. That is the proposed detached accessory structure, and then this is the location of the second accessory structure, which is a pool house. This is the front and rear elevations of the proposed home. This is basically the floor plan that lays out to show you the floor plan, how it relates to the accessory structures. This is a detailed layout of the accessory structure that shows that this is the two-car parking area, and then this is the fitness center. And then this is the layout for the pool house. So in summary, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for the construction of a second accessory structure of 300 square feet on 2 acres. That is all that I have.
Okay. Questions for Amy?
I assume the accessory structures as laid out are within the setback limits?
Yes, yeah, they have, our requirements, the county requirements is it can't be closer than 5 feet, but in their approved record plat for the development, they actually have this 100-foot no build line. So there's no building beyond the 100 feet from the rear property line, so,
That's subdivision code.
correct.
Do we have any idea of the elevation of that structure
Of
compared to the home?
Of the pool house, I'm not sure. The applicant is here as well as their contractor. That may be a good question to ask them.
Okay. Further questions for Amy? Okay, thank you. If we can have the applicant come forward.
Property owner.
Morning. Raise your right hand, be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address.
My name is Michael Cadden. I'm with Kyle Thompson Company. The address of the property is at 14425 River Glades Lane,
Can you spell your last name for me, please?
Cadden.
And what's your address? Not the property
Our
address.
office address is 100 Weist, W-E-I-S-T Place, Louisville 40206.
Thank you.
All right, Michael, is there anything you'd like to tell us what it is you're trying to do?
No, I believe Mr. Pate had asked about the height of the building, and it will be below the visibility from the structure and the main home in front. It'll be a one-story pool house, and hopefully that answers your question. Other than that, yes, it's a. I think what was presented is all pretty straightforward, unless there are any other questions I can answer.
For the record, then this is not anything that'll be used for any commercial activity.
Correct.
It's for personal use only.
Correct.
It will not exceed, and it will be primarily hidden behind the main structure.
Yes.
And there's no any other uses that we need to know about.
No, it's a single-family residence. The use will be as one structure is a garage and fitness center. The second structure is a pool house.
Construction materials will be similar to the house and,
Yes, absolutely. It's a limestone, stucco, and then the roofing material.
No planned additions to this structure at any time?
No, I think this is all in. This is the whole
Scope of the
whole
project?
scope of the project.
Did you by chance complete the application for conditional use? For what purposes are you requesting a conditional use? I don't know what the mark is there, whether it's partially a question mark or it's a 2, but
I'm not sure. I'd have to probably see it.
What page?
the application here.
I think they may have started to do the second accessory structure. That's probably the 2 of the part where it says second accessory structure.
Can you put that, I don't know where you're at.
Yeah, change it to the other one. Right here.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it probably should have said second accessory structure. But we met with them, so staff understood what their request was.
I think it was covered, but you stated that it will not exceed the height of the primary building. Is that correct?
Correct. I guess to give you perspective, the drawing that's on the currently on the screen, it is the middle left side of that page is the pool house structure. So in comparison to the building, you can kind of get an idea of the. There we go.
Okay. Further questions for Michael? No? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, is there anybody here that wishes to speak in favor? Opposed? Okay, any final statements? Nothing? Okay, very good. We'll close the floor for a public hearing. Board members, I guess before I close the floor, board members, do you have any questions for anybody? We'll close the floor. Open it up for general discussion.
Pretty cut and dry.
Okay, easy enough. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve OC-16-007, because based on the evidence presented that the second accessory structure will be behind the main structure, that it'll fit into the character and objectives and the proposed use and the potential impacts on the community and the surrounding areas are appropriate, that this building is one that will be virtually unseen from the main road or from the public. The conditional use permit shall only apply to the plan considered at today's meeting. There shall be no commercial activity conducted out of the accessory structure. The accessory structure shall not be occupied as living space would be conditions of approval.
Okay. Did you get the second page, the condition on the second page?
That's what I was just
That's
saying.
what you just got? Okay. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? It's been granted. Stephen, you want to read the second?
yes, sir. Docket OC 16012, an application has been filed requesting a road frontage variance for proposed track located at the 3200 block of English Way, Prospect.
All right, this is your second docket. As Mr. Davis just stated, this is a request for a road frontage variance. The property is, the total site size is approximately 135 acres. They are proposing a 1.09 acre tract. The property is zoned CO1 Conservation and AG1 Agricultural. This is a zoomed out view of the total site. So that gives you kind of the layout of the farm there. And this is the area of the overall 135 acres. This is the area that's in question. And then this is a zoomed in version of the aerial. This is the area view that shows you the current structures and drives. And there currently is a house and drive on this one, but that has been constructed after 2012 when this aerial was done. On August 31st, 1997, the Oldham County Board of Adjustments approved docket 2729, a road frontage variance request allowing a 9.2 acre tract to be created with 0 road frontage. This is the 9 acre tract here, and this is the existing English Way. This is just the overlay of that creation of that 9 acre tract.
Excuse me, that was 9 acres?
9.2, yes, sir. And then on July 18th of 1998, the Oldham County Board of Adjustments approved docket 2854, a road frontage variance request allowing a 2.361 acre tract to be created with 0 road frontage. So then they created an additional 2.361 acre tract. So this is the 2.3 acre tract that was created. On April 4th of 2016, a consolidation plat was approved by staff, changing the configuration of the original 9.2 acre, which conveyed the lake area back into the main tract.
Which conveyed?
They conveyed this outline here is the 9.2 acre tract. And what they did is they took this area here and conveyed it back into the main farm. So they shrunk and made the tract outline there in red. So they made the 9 acre tract down to a 4.268 acre tract. So this is, again, this is the original outline of the 9 acres. And then they made it smaller. They condensed it down into the area in red, which was the 4 acres. And then the outlined area, all of this was conveyed back into the farm.
So Amy,
135 acres.
sorry to interrupt, the part in red and this diagram in the top right corner that overlaps the part in yellow, that changed the boundary, that
Yes.
boundary? Okay.
Yes. The applicant is proposing to create a new tract consisting of 1.09 acres with 0 road frontage on a public roadway. The proposed tract is located on a 40-foot private access easement, and utilities currently exist on the lot. Section 020040 states the minimum road frontage requirements for parcels in AG1 zoning district less than 2.5 acres is 150 feet. The lot does meet the minimum lot width requirements of 150 feet. And if it was to be located on a public roadway, no variance would be required. The Oldham County Health Department has performed a site evaluation, and the septic system would be installed on the south side of the access easement. The lot does, that's duplicate, it does meet the minimum of lot width requirements of 150 feet. So this is the proposed 1.091 acre tract. So this kind of gives you an idea of where that 1.09 acre tract would be located. There is an existing 40-foot private access easement that goes back to the 4 acres, which is this piece here. It goes back into there. English Way is a public road as part of the subdivision, but English Way stops right here, the public portion. So the area highlighted in green is the public portion, and then the area here in the blue is an existing 30-foot private access easement. So there's a 30-foot private access easement that goes back and goes originally into the larger 9-acre tract that has since been condensed. So the person that would purchase this tract would take English Way. They would go from the 30-foot public road right-of-way into the existing 30-foot access easement, and then left into the property to use the existing 40-foot access easement. So if English Way was a public roadway back through here, it would have adequate frontage. But because the public portion ends there, they do not have frontage on a public roadway.
Does English Road, does English Way encroach into the farm itself? There's no part, so all of that, Thomas and Denise Pope, so English Way stops on their property.
At the edge of their, yes,
At
at
the
the
edge
edge
of
of
the
the
property,
driveway.
prior to the
Their
pond.
property goes to right here, but
Okay,
it
all right.
stops right there.
All right.
And you'll be able to tell a little bit more here from the pictures. You can tell from where the pavement ends right here, and then it picks up, it, tapers down. So this is the public portion going this way of English Way, and then going north in is the English Way private access easement. This is a, excuse me, a west view looking into the property. This is the area that was recently conveyed back into the farm of the lake. This is the east view. If you look down here at your little area map, that'll give you kind of your orientation of where that house is located in reference to the other tracks. This is the west view from the adjoining property owner, so that if you're standing here looking into the proposed tract, that's the view there.
Could you go back again, please?
Mm-hmm.
So, I've got the impression, maybe incorrectly, but I want to clarify, the proposed tract that we're discussing today is where on this particular drawing that you've got down in the lower right-hand corner?
This area in here,
So it's partially the land that was conveyed back,
into the main farm.
but is it also encroach upon the property that's already designated there with those four point, now the 4 point, whatever the
No.
acres are?
Because that has not been drawn into our GIS system yet. This is the entire 9 acres here.
The proposed tract is entirely from the farm now,
Correct.
because
The
what's been
135
conveyed
acres.
back.
Correct.
Could you draw on here where the proposed tract is? I meant on that particular drawing.
But it shows, it's a close-up
Okay.
view here.
Yeah,
It shows you where the proposed, this purple area here is
I
the
see.
proposed tract.
I understand that.
The house that you were just looking at is right here.
And where is the septic? I'm sorry, am I getting ahead of myself? with
Yeah,
the
it's,
questions?
yeah, I haven't gone through everything yet, so give me just a second. The north side of the septic area, the house will be here on the north side of the proposed lot, and then this is the area, this picture here is the south side of the lot, just to kind of give you the layout of the lot, because the access easement divides the lot. So this is the north side, this is the south side. This is the east view, so this is looking from the proposed lot into the adjoining property owner's property. This is the south view, so this would be them exiting the property. And again, you can see it goes from gravel into the pavement, into English Way. This is the adjoining property owner to the southeast. So again, the proposed lot is in, it's hard to draw small on here, it's right in here. So this is the adjoining property. Once you come out of the private access easement, this is the adjoining property owner's house here. And then this is the adjoining property owner on the opposite side of the road. So if you're exiting out of English Way and look to your right, this is the Pope's property. So in summary, the applicant is requesting a road frontage variance. They do meet the minimum lot area. They meet the minimum lot width, which is 150 feet. They meet the minimum lot depth. We'll check the setbacks if this is approved and a home is constructed on it, that will be reviewed at the time that they apply for their building permit regarding the building setbacks and the structure height. But what they are requesting today is the minimum road frontage request, because they do not have 150 feet onto a frontage onto a public roadway.
So, can you put either a picture that depicts all the adjoining properties? That one's good, right there, that's good, all right. So, the access easement begins, go ahead and show me where the access easement begins.
Right here.
Okay, so we have that property, that property, that property, that property, and now we're looking for that property, all to be off the access easement.
No.
All right?
The access easement, see the red line there?
Yeah,
That's where the access easement begins. Because this is, all of this down through here is all part of the farm.
okay,
So the only people that use the access easement is this property
Yeah.
and this property.
and then now the new one that's
And
being
then this,
proposed.
the one that's proposed, basically there.
A total of 3, which is the maximum.
Correct.
Other side over there, English Way just stops. It stopped, I'm sure, because there's private property there, and, but on the other side, where was it headed?
Goes into the farm.
Yeah, but beyond the farm, what's over on the other side over there?
It's wooded area. It's 135 acres.
It's just a wooded area, but there are no public highways or anything on the other side?
No, it's basically it's a dead end. It dead ends. English Way dead ends right here.
And is this all family?
You'd have to ask the applicant that.
Thank you.
The site history, so we know you just discussed the site history with this, well, the,
Making that a smaller lot.
there we go. The
Yes,
site
sir.
history with that right there, okay? And we talked about what we're going to do today is what they're proposing is with that whole area. There was also another 2.3 acres back in 98. That's that section. Okay.
Correct.
All right. And those are the only 2 modifications to the farm, are these 2 areas?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
That I'm aware of. The surveyor is here along with the property owner. They may be able to clarify that.
Thank you.
I have 2 issues I want to clarify for myself. The easy one first.
Okay.
There is no setback requirement from an easement.
No.
Okay, so, all right, so that's the easy one. Okay, here's the second one. I looked for a definition of a road. I couldn't find one in the documentation I have. And so my question is, just in my mind, and this isn't necessarily codified anywhere, but in my mind, this driveway could constitute a private road. And so please help me understand if there's a place within the documentation that refutes that, we'll call it a hypothesis or theory for now. And if that were true, then they in fact have the road frontage. So that's kind of where I'm,
It has to be on a public street. They don't have road frontage on a public street.
okay, thank you for that clarification, Al.
But to clarify that, though, a step further, even if the way this property is drawn, can you put it up there with the purple section, the way you had it,
That, or you want the proposed lot?
with the proposed on it?
Yes.
No, keep going. Right there.
Uh-huh.
The way the road goes through the property, not along the property, even if that section, if that whole section there was public, would it have road frontage per se? Because it goes through it.
If this was moved over to here,
Yes.
and this was a public road, then all of this area here would be road frontage.
Yeah, but since it's not over there,
Correct.
okay.
Yes, I see where you're going.
Hold on a second. You mentioned earlier about the limit of 3. You kind of made that in passing. Can we make that as part of the record of what that?
Yeah.
A private access easement is only allowed to serve 3 properties. So. I keep going the wrong way. Yeah, they can go to the planning commission and ask for a waiver. But again, the public portion ends here, and the private access easements will serve 1, 2, 3.
And 4, including the top one.
If they wanted to use it to access that, but they access it from the actual farm,
Okay,
From the what?
from the farm.
I got you.
And you did have a picture of the larger farm, the 135 acres.
Yes.
Toward the beginning.
I got you.
Yes.
So
from over
their
here.
main access, in other words, if this wasn't here, they right now access this acreage behind with whatever they do it from the other side.
Yes, from my understanding, but the property owner is here and can clarify that
I
as
appreciate
well.
that. Thank you.
Excuse me, to reinforce my learning here, I'm looking at section 020040 AG1 agricultural, and it states minimum road frontage. It doesn't say public, so somewhere else it must say public. Where can I
Correct.
find that?
Jim, do you know what section that's in?
You have it in your presentation.
Not that it says that it has to be on a public. Not sure exactly which.
It's in the subdivision reg.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That requirement is in the subdivision regs. I'll find it for you.
Okay, thank you. I can take my answer when Jim finds it. Don't want to hold everybody up.
Question, Amy, because the way this is, I would, usually you see a spoken wheel kind of configuration where it comes up and it accesses this property, and this property. But in this case, it accesses the property to the right. It'll access the property that it's proposing, and the next property actually has to go through the first one to get to the next one.
Correct.
Does that create anything unusual? I don't think I've seen a case like this.
Not necessarily. As you said, normally you see the access easements and stuff run along the edge of the properties.
Right.
It is different that it does run through the middle of the property, but there's no regulation that says that it can't be done that way. They're proposing the house on this side, and then from my understanding, the lateral fields will be on the south portion of the lot.
Because you don't know where the things will go 50 years from now, is there agreements in place that the third property has access through the second property?
Yes, yeah,
They've got those agreements?
If this is approved and when this is recorded, they will have to provide with this minor plat a access and maintenance agreement. So any future buyers will be subject to the same restrictions regarding access and maintenance of the access easement.
Thank you.
Go back toward the beginning. There's still I want to see a larger picture of the entire farm. Right there. And what's circled, the black circle is what we're talking about, right?
This is English Way that comes
There
through
you go,
here.
thank you. And, okay, so right there, that's the only other, that's the main farm. And the access to that main farm is that road right in through there. Okay.
So 3123, 3124 are the buildings that you've referenced that were off of that private access road?
Yes. Uh-huh.
All right, any other questions for Amy? Thank you very much. Okay, we can have the applicant come forward. Hello.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. My name is Morris Talbot. I'm a land surveyor that been working with the Englishes on this, creating this lot, and have Mr. and Mrs. English here today. You may have some questions for them.
Morris, can you state your address for the record? Can you state your address for the record, please?
319 Tucker Station Road, Louisville, Kentucky, 40243. My apologies. We're here today to ask for a road frontage variance. Amy has done a super job of explaining this. I'm hoping she's taking the pressure off of me a little bit. A few things. There is an access easement agreement that has been filed for this existing easement that goes through this property. The residual of the 9 acres that Amy referred to is Mr. Tolbert. I think he's here too. And he's aware that he just purchased the property from Mr. English's son a couple of months ago. And I believe he was aware that this was a lot that was intended to be created at that time. He'll have an opportunity to speak on that if he wishes. This lot has all utilities available, electric, water, telephone, I think even gas back there. And there's also a document that has been filed, and it's an easement for utilities. So the access has been granted. It has provisions for maintenance of the roadway. Provisions have been made for an easement for the utilities. And also I'd like to mention that the Health Department has been out there and done a preliminary site investigation for that area, which is below the existing driveway there, and that I have a copy of that. This evaluation was done, looks like April 6th, and found that the site was suitable or provisionally suitable on all categories. Of course, a lot of that depends on, the number of bedrooms being built and so forth. So that'll have to be a final one done, but we do have the preliminary that suggests that the site is fine for a septic system. We do have restrictions that will apply to this lot, and those restrictions will be essentially the same as Neville Mead Estates, which is, by the way, that's the subdivision you drive through when you're going down English Way. The end of the public road is actually the end of Neville Mead Estates.
Show us this on the map, what you're talking about with regard to Neville Mead Estates and so forth. Sorry. I said, could you show us on a map where Neville Mead Estates fits into this whole thing?
If I don't have one that's zoomed out of that. That's all of the subdivision that's down here that leads into the property.
I may have somewhat of a drawing here. This sorry for the graphics on this. This green dashed line is the limits of Neville Mead Estates. This over here is Neville Mead Estates in this area. And as you can see, this red box there is the proposed lot. Mr. English's son lived and built this house located here. And then also his daughter, I think, built this house here. They no longer live there. But I think maybe the owners of both of those houses are here today, so. With my little addition and Amy's presentation, I guess that's all I have. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
I'm hoping sometime during the presentation, someone's going to tell us the intent, okay, of the use of the property, how big a house we're going to build, all those kinds of things that is planned.
I can, yes.
Kind of just the plan.
A house plan?
No, just whatever the plan, tell us what the plan is.
Plan is to create a lot there, and Mr. English and Mr. English are here today, and they can provide some additional information on that.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for Morris? All right, very good, thank you. Robert, do we want to call the owners forward to get a general plan? I think
I see the layout, but I want to understand what the intent and
we can have
use
the
of the
property owners
property
come forward.
is. I mean, I think it's obvious, but I don't want to assume.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you could state your name and address, please.
My name is Herbert T. English, 3129 Neville Mead Drive, Prospect, Kentucky.
Okay. And you've heard Rob's question, just a general statement as to the intent for the property.
For the farm property that's still back of that driveway, right?
That's right, with
Yeah.
the proposed lot,
For the lot.
the 1 acre lot that's being
Why-
proposed today.
Yeah. Right now, it's farmland. We intend for it to continue to be farmland as long as my wife and I own it. And I hope that's a good while yet.
No, actually, I'm asking for the lot. You're breaking up the lot with the intentions of doing what with it? Why are we making this lot?
We are making that lot to be sold. My son will own that lot. He will sell that lot to someone to build a house on.
Okay.
And I think I understood correctly that the two homes that are already built there were at one time owned by children, and they are no longer owned by the children?
They are no longer owned by the children, that's correct. We, my wife and I gave them that property, well, my son, where his house is, we probably gave that away at least 30 years ago. And he built a house on it.
Thank you.
Now, Herbert, you're the owner of the farm, is that correct? The 135 acre farm?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
My family since 1892.
Okay. Do you have further plans? Well, hang on, before. No, I don't have further question.
So I became a little confused there. The 9 acre tract, which you're splitting off this lot from, who is the current owner of that home and tract?
The correct owner of the tract that the house is on,
9
my
acre.
son's house was on,
Yes, sir. Who currently owns that?
Mr.
Will Tolbert.
Huh?
Will Tolbert.
Will Tolbert.
Okay.
Will Tolbert.
Okay. I guess what I'm confused about, sir, is that we're splitting off this smaller tract from the 9 acres, and Mr. Tolbert owns the 9 acres now. Who will own each of those tracts after it's split off?
There's not 9 acres there
There's
anymore.
9 acres.
Right. Yeah, I'm obviously confused, yeah.
It was originally 9.184 acres. When they came in recently and did a revised plat, when they cut, because originally the lot went like this.
Uh-huh.
Whoops, went like this.
Right.
So they did a minor plat doing a property line shift. The actual tract was only 4.268 acres. So the 9 acres went from 9.2 down to 4.268.
That 4.268 does or does not include the tract in question
Does
today?
not include the tract in question, because originally it went right here. This was the original shape of the 9 acres.
Okay, so then the tract in question today was returned to the farm in that action?
Correct.
All
Into
right.
the 135 acres.
I understand, thank you.
It was returned to the farm, but the tract today was partially in the 9 acres, and that was partially part of the 130, or the bigger farm. They gave back part of it, but now the new tract, the bottom half was in the 9, the top half was on the original farm,
Correct.
above the green line.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. This part here was part of the original farm.
thank you.
That's right.
All right, thank you very much, I understand.
This is somewhat of Mr. English Jr., who owned the 9 acres, give part of this land back to his father and mother for the farm. That portion of land it's basically a little land swap because he gave away land, he got shorted on it. So we're trying to make that up here on this end.
I understand now. Thank you.
That's correct.
We have further questions for Mr. English? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, do we have anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Opposed? Okay, yes, sir.
Morning.
Morning.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you can state your name and address.
My name is Tom Pope. I'm at 3200 English Way, Prospect, Kentucky, 40059.
Tom, hang on one second. He knows exactly what I'm getting ready to ask.
Where you live on the map.
That's
We'll give you
exactly
just
right.
a
Okay.
second.
There we go, thank you. Okay, Tom?
Okay. So I guess there's, on this variance, the 150 feet would be at the bottom of the property, and I'm not sure about all variances, so that would be the 150 feet that would be attached to a public street the way it is now? So that 150 feet that, right next to the pond, that would be attached to the public right away?
It's not
Is
going to
that right?
attach anywhere. It's because it doesn't front a public roadway. So if this was to be extended, you know, if the public roadway continued through here and it, you know, the roadway went all the way to their property line, then they would have road frontage on a public street. But they do not, because the public street portion ends right there.
Okay,
And the minimum lot width is 150 feet. Is just the minimum lot width, you know, for the regulations. So,
okay.
So half of Tom's property is on the public road, English Way, and the other half is on the access easement.
yeah, well, yeah, because this is the public
But
portion
it's
here.
serviced off of English Way.
Mhm. And his driveway comes off of the public portion.
Okay.
So going back to the, that's a public access or private access road. You've got the Tolberts, this proposed tract, the Noltes, and the Popes, and the farm all have access to that public, or that private access road. I think you had said something about 4 tracts, but there's really 5?
No. You access from the public portion.
Right? But
So-
do I, if I abut up to that or join to that, is that,
Could you connect to that? You would have to have permission from the other people that use that access easement to do that. But
so
your
what I'm trying to
access
get at
comes from the
is there 3 existing right now that would, or 4 existing right now, or is there just 3 existing?
There's 3 existing, or 2 existing, 1 proposed. This is existing, this is existing, this is proposed.
What about the farm?
They've stated that they access it from the other, that they don't use this for the access.
Okay.
That was my question earlier, and I was satisfied because of Amy's answer, that the farm is really accessed from another point. If there was a visible drive that went back and you could see where they were using it, then I believe you'd be correct, and there would be 4 at that point. Just because it has property coming to that point doesn't necessarily mean it's an access. I mean, not saying they couldn't access it from there, but it doesn't appear to be an access.
So what I believe our concerns are is the future development of that farmland, as Sonny stated. Right now, it's not proposed for any further development, but I think after, in the future, there would be proposals. And what would be the terms, conditions, the variances, approvals to make that into a public street? To extend that further, the English way further back to have access to any development that would be there.
So you're asking what the conditions would be to turn that into a public, to extend English Way and to
Right,
and to
our
further build
concern-
out the
right.
farm?
Right now, there's 10 homes on English Way that we enjoy a dead-end street. There's, 4 or 6 cars back there now that have access through, that go past our house. And, if further development's there, we're concerned that, if there's 60 acres for development back there, that would be turned into a public street. And, then there'd be hundreds of cars.
I believe we could go down that road and ask these guys to explain if in fact that was the case. But to be honest with you, that is regardless of what we're talking about today.
Okay.
Because this access road, we could go through those semantics. Oh, hold on, if you would. But I believe whether there's 2 or whether there's 3, that answer is going to be the same. So I don't know that this has any relevance. I don't know that has any relevance to whether or not this, because that could happen if someone got approval to make it into a new subdivision that went back in there. Regardless of intent, regardless of what happens, I don't see that as necessarily relevant unless somebody else does.
I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because I've been told in a meeting prior to this that we only are to consider what's in.
Hang on.
Don't present evidence.
Thank you. There you go. Yeah, we need to just consider what's being discussed here. If we need to bring the applicant back forward, we can.
Okay.
I think the relevance might be if this tract is proposed and created, is there setbacks in place that would prevent a public street from being extended?
Mr. Chairman, I think that matter is external to this board. We wouldn't address that now or in the future.
Okay.
That's not our purview.
Okay, so Tom, I hear your concerns. You're speaking in opposition. And we've heard the opposition. I mean, if we want to call others forward, or unless you want to continue with other points in opposition,
other
we might
points-
be able to get that addressed here shortly. But right now, I just want to hear what the opposition is.
Okay. My other concern is that as partial owner of the lake, I think Mr. Talbot said something to the effect that there's been a preliminary septic system drawing. I would like to see that further because with that parcel C being only 0.6 acres, I'm concerned that there's not enough space there to put a septic system. All the houses in that area are pretty big, and depending on the number of rooms and bathrooms, the house would be built with a adequate septic system that wouldn't create any problems with the pond.
Okay. All right, very good.
And the other thing is considering the utilities. From what I see here, there's an electrical easement on there. I don't see anything with water or telecom that I can see. That I'm kind of new to this. And where would those utilities, specifically water, be tapped into? Because right now, Mr. Tolbert's, Mr. Nolte's water meter is in my front yard, and I'm concerned that there would be some more, another water meter put in for this proposed tract. So I would like, there was some concern about the setback features of this. I'm also, in the application, there's something which I don't understand, is there's a past or present related planning cases, there's a BOZA docket 2730, and I'm not sure what that is, if that could be explained.
I'm sorry, Tom, what you just said,
In the application, it says, are there any past or present related planning and zoning cases on this property? If yes, please list. It says BOZA docket 2730.
okay.
I'm not sure what that is. So I was just wondering if there was any more proposed lot changes or applications permit regarding this property, or regarding the tract two, the 1.091 acre, or the actual private access easement.
We will after, once he's done.
And then concerning the zoning, I guess that's an agricultural, and I'm not sure what a CO1 is. I'd like to understand what zoning that is.
CO1 is conservation/residential district.
Okay.
It's dual.
And then my concern would be, is there any, with this grading of this, would there be any construction and/or issues with the gravel road that might affect the pond and the stream that feeds it? I believe that's all I have. So those are questions I would like to address and answer and discussed, if you would.
Okay, thank you, Tom. May you take a seat. And is there anybody else that wishes to speak in opposition? Okay. Point of procedure. Did you want to take a short recess?
I would, yes.
Before we continue? Okay, if you'd like to make a motion.
Like to make a motion, we have a 5-minute recess, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Ready for a motion to,
I make a motion that we reconvene.
Second?
any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, back in session. Okay, we had just completed the opposition. And so we'll have some time for rebuttals, if you'd like 5 minutes for a rebuttal.
Just a few, wanted to address a few of the comments that were made by Mr. Pope and maybe provide some additional documentation on that. Mr. Pope actually accesses from English Way, is that correct? That is the public road. So his entrance is off English Way, the public portion of English Way. I'm sorry. The access to the remaining property seems to be some concern. Mr. and Ms. English have owned that since the 1890s. They have stated that they have no plans at this time for any further development back there. At some point in time, it may be developed. Their children may develop it, it may be sold or whatever, but that's really not what we're asking for today. There's a lot of hypotheticals on what something could become, and at this point in time, certainly don't know. And I wouldn't speculate on what that would be. Mr. Pope had asked for the soil evaluation, and I do have that. If Brooke can zero in on that.
And Morris, can you turn it
90 degrees.
There you go, thank you.
This is the on-site evaluation that was done on April the 6th by the Oldham County Health Department. And you can see that all of the 10, or actually 9 categories were either suitable or provisionally suitable. And I think the word provisional is on there because there's no plan for that particular house yet. We don't know if it's 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, whatever. So, but there's certainly nothing in the unsuitable categories. And there is the design criteria that was used to determine that. I don't know if you can read that, but it's got the tank requirement, lateral options, for a 4-bedroom and a 6-bedroom house. Oh, great. I'm not up on all this technology apparently, but anyway, that's the location, or the evaluation. And as far as the location goes, if you all would feel better, we can certainly put a note on there restricting any sort of development in the lower part of that lot there, since that's what the septic system is going to be, where it's going to be located. Also, I have restrictions which this proposed lot will fall under these restrictions. And as you can see, that as we go through, and it's essentially the same restrictions as Neville Mead Estates. It has, I won't go through all these, but it has the building size requirements, architectural standards, all the restrictions that Neville Mead Estates has. And this is essentially not in Neville Mead Estates, but it's adjacent to it. And as you know, if you've been out there, the Englishes have done a terrific job of that development, and I'm sure they want to ensure that the development, even though these are not in the subdivision, they will be appropriate for that subdivision. This is another piece of the drawing, and I don't know if you can make this out at all, but this is something that was provided by the health department as well. It's a drawing that they did, and but they're showing, I just wanted to make a point, they're showing the house on this side of the drive, and they have shown the lateral field on the lower side. So that was something that was provided by the health department. Also, there is an easement Okay. No problem. See if I can find that easement here.
Morris, hang on one second. Point of order, we have exceeded the time for rebuttal. If somebody would like to make a motion for an additional 5 minutes or extend the time.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Thanks,
Thank you
Morris.
for the additional time. The other thing I have here is an easement agreement which deals with the maintenance of the roadway and also for the utilities. That was, I think, something of Mr. Pope's concern there. And I'll certainly leave this and make it part of our presentation. And I think that's all I've got. Be glad to answer any other questions.
I have questions that I don't know whether they are appropriately directed to staff or whether they're appropriately directed to the gentleman here in front of us today.
Okay.
And maybe, why do you have restrictions on a privately owned property? Or is it a common practice to have restrictions or development restrictions when it's private property?
Well, I think the short answer to that is that the Englishes want to ensure that there is some, they've got nice houses when you drive back there. They're wonderful subdivision. And they want to ensure that any additional development is in similar style and size and architectural features and so forth.
You mentioned potential development. Did I hear that accurately? Potential further development?
Well, there's 100 and something acres back there. Mm-hmm. At some point, it may be. There's certainly no plans at this time, as Mr. English has stated. Anything at this point in time would be highly speculative.
Is it common to build a lateral field with access to the lateral field, or the drains that run under that lateral field under a roadway?
Oh, yeah. Same as sewers you drive across hundreds of times going from point A to point B. That's certainly no problem.
Interesting. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if we have a 5-minute time for rebuttal for the opposition. If you would like to have a rebuttal to what you heard.
I do have one question. So on the septic, I don't know if you can bring that document back up here. Said something about if the frontage right there is 150 feet and goes up to, I don't know what the width of that is on the lower tract. I think the requirement for a 6-bedroom was at least 680 feet. I don't know if I'm reading that
Yes.
right. Okay, so that would be at least, that'd probably be like 5 lines going across, so that would extend it pretty far into that property down to the pond, I guess is my concern.
What's the direction of the lateral field as it's being proposed from the house that's being built? or being proposed to be built?
All right,
So hang on. Yeah, We'll ask that and get an answer here in just a second. Okay, so that is the one and only concern that you have remaining, this point of opposition? And again, we're in a time for rebuttal, and what we're getting ready to do is close, or open it up for general discussion for the board members, so,
Right now, that's my only point of opposition, yes.
okay, all right. Thank you very much.
So the question is, the proposed lateral fields and septic tank, would the septic tank be near the house? Would it be on the lower side of the road? Is that area lower than where the house is being proposed, or what you're asking for? Was that clear? Was that?
Yes. The area, the area below the road is downhill from where the house would be located. House would be located up here, septic system located on the lower side. And typically there's, it depends on the configuration of the lateral lines. It's, sometimes you've got 3 lines, sometimes you've got 6. It just depends really on the configuration of the lot and how the installer wants to put it in. Typically, there's a distribution box, and the lines would run parallel to the contours.
Is there?
Excuse me, if I may, Mr. Talbot, to your knowledge, who is the person or government organization or private organization that makes the final decision as to what approved lateral system, septic system looks like, where the septic tank is, where the lateral lines are, and where they run, if they're long enough, wide enough, so forth?
That is the Oldham County Health Department. What they're following are the Natural Resources Cabinet's recommendations or requirements for location of lateral lines. And I know the question was made, how close can we get to the pond and so forth? There are requirements and all that, setback requirements and all that. But it is administered by the health department.
So is it fair for me to conclude that any proposed residents on this property would have to have a septic system, and that septic system would be decided by the county health department, Oldham County Health Department?
That's correct.
So let's bring staff up and ask about that exact question.
Yes.
Okay, so you've heard some of the questions regarding the lateral line and septic.
At the time that a building permit would be applied for, part of the requirements to get an approved building permit is to have an approval letter from the health department. So the septic system would have to be approved by the health department, and they would sign a release letter, give that to the builder or the property owner. That would be submitted with their building permit application. We cannot issue a building permit without the sign-off from the Oldham County Health Department.
This is perhaps an unfair question. Mm-hmm. Is it a possibility that any mistakes could be made since that's going downhill, and that there could be drainage into the pond from the septic system?
Not a septic installer, and I don't work for the health department, but I would assume that their staff is knowledgeable in what they're approving.
Thank you for answering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any further questions for Amy or staff? Okay, that was rebuttal, final statements. This is a point where we have no new testimony. It's just final statements, closing statements. If we'll start with the applicant.
Well, I'd just like to say that if you've been back Neville Mead Estates, you know the condition of the subdivision, the types of houses, and that was done laid out at the direction of Mr. and Mrs. English. They wanted a particular look and feel to that development, and I think it's quite nice. They want that to extend into this additional lot, just the same as if it would have been in the subdivision. So with that, we ask for your approval of this variance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 5 minutes for opposition. Final statements. No new testimony, but if you would like some final statements.
So my final statement would be basically that, we're concerned with the character and the, of this area. I mean, you have quietly, if you're out on the board, there's, it's a peaceful area. We think that this parcel may have some conditions with the pond that might hurt the pond and the nature around there. I would like, I guess I'm opposed just for the fact that I'm concerned with the pond, and I wish I would take that into consideration.
Okay, board members, any question for anybody in the audience? Okay, I'll close the floor.
You had somebody raising their hand out there. Was that too late? Yep,
Yeah, I mean, we had an opportunity for opposition and
gotcha.
in favor. I'll close the floor for public statement and open it up for general discussion, board members. I'll start. We heard testimony that as far as some of the opposition, points of opposition, the first was future development. While we can't speculate what might happen 10, 50, 100 years from now, there are no plans for any future development. I believe we did address all the points that were raised in opposition. As far as lateral fields, flowing direction of the pond, or as far as the pond is concerned, I think Amy did address that the health department, that's a point for health department. So I personally, I don't have any concerns with this application.
I would say that the opposition's concerns seem to be reasonable and valid. I would say the applicant has taken steps to address many of those concerns insofar as is possible for them to do regarding adopting the subdivision building restrictions and so forth. I still, I think it's just a matter of balancing the concerns of the two parties, and I don't see anything to prevent me from voting in favor of this.
I have to say that deed restrictions don't necessarily, anything we can take into account necessarily on this board for some of the approvals or not. The fact is that the testimony has brought us to the point where the current owner is trying to keep that within context of the subdivision. Those kind of things go to intent, go to what they're trying to accomplish. They, as a property owner, have the right to try to subdivide a piece of property off and to use it for future development, to build a home or whatever, which has been stated on the record here. So I don't have any issues approving this or making a motion to approve.
Okay, anything else?
I think the concerns stated are understandable. I think the opposition has given some clear understanding of where their concerns are. I think we should take that into consideration. On the other hand, I believe that the request is a valid request, and I think they've shown intent to meet all obligations of understanding of what their use is going to be for this property. So I would have no problem with moving forward.
Okay, anything else? Okay, ready to accept a motion?
Move to approve OC-16-012 because based on the testimony and all the elements of approval that were shown it's a staff report, their only exception was the road frontage. So that is what's before us today. Given the fact that it's a private road, it has the access that is within the limits there. There's nothing to prevent us from approving that. The fact that the owner has given testimony that and shown us that the intent is to stay within the character of the area, so that shows it will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity or cause a hazard or nuisance. The variance then shall only apply to the application considered at the May 19th, 2016 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
Very good. If the variance has been granted. Okay. Minutes for April's hearing, we all received them. Were there any modifications?
Page 7, the bullet point just before number 4, looks like we might be missing a word or two. There will be, or there will approximately be. I'm not sure what, I wasn't here, but just seems like there ought to be something else in there.
Yeah, so insert B between will and approximately. That seems reasonable.
Page 7, right before testimony, there will be approximately 1,100 square feet. Okay, any other modifications?
Page 1, I think it says, should say right below 1, presentation by staff, community plan it, should be planner.
Where's that one?
Hey, you got to give us something to do.
That's exactly right. Okay, anything else? All right, can I get a motion to approve as amended?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes approved. Any other business?
A point of order, we need to elect a new secretary.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so Mr. Riley has left us, and he was acting secretary, so we get a nomination for secretary.
Nominate Mr. Davis.
Second.
Mr. Davis, would you like the position of secretary?
I would very much enjoy it, sir.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Any other nominations? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Mr. Davis, new secretary.
Move to adjourn?
Wait, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.